A very common phenomena, I think, in many families. We lose a parent. We lose either the father or the mother before their time. It happens in many families, because of which one of the children take on the role of the parent.
Anuradha, how do the ideas of karma and dharma fit into ancestral healing?
Dharma doesn't necessarily actually come into ancestral healing context. We don't address that, but it's all about karma.
जब परिवार का पूरा dynamic negative हो, toxic हो, it's very heavy. How do we protect our field?
There are a lot of rituals in every culture, in every part of the world, religion and otherwise, that already has prescribed rituals.
Anuradha, if someone doesn't believe in energy, in ancestors or in spirituality, तो क्या होता है? Can they still heal? Hi friends, welcome to Nawaz Talkies. Our effort on our show has always been to bring you face to face with achievers from various walks of life. Celebrities from show business to wellness to spirituality. Like today, we meet Anuradha, also known as Usha, who is the founder of Sacred Paths, a center of well-being and healing in Hyderabad, India, and Mishkat, Dubai, UAE. She'll be enlightening us with a very mystical and scientific approach on ancestral healing. Usha believes strongly that no healing can happen without divine intervention. And today we're going to get on with exploring part 2 of all that is with Usha. Welcome Anuradha to Nawaz Talkies. Can ancestral trauma explain why कुछ लोगों को उदासी या चिंता हमेशा लगती रहती है without any clear reasons for this in their own lives?
Yeah, because there is nothing in your immediate context that justifies how you're feeling or explains to you why you're feeling a certain way. Yeah, as much as you scan your context, scan your immediate circumstances, there seems to be no reason. But there is this lingering, ongoing, almost chronic feeling unwell or feeling depressed sometimes, or feeling emotionally inclined in a certain way. Simple things like irrational anger, inconsolable grief or heaviness. All of this, if you don't have anything in your own circumstances that explains why you could be that way, then definitely it could be something that you're carrying for someone else.
So a lot of medical depression, for example, you had Deepika Padukone who went through such deep clinical medical depression, and she claimed that there was nothing in her life that was off color, she was doing very well, everything was great, but she had that depression. In that case, would one look at perhaps an ancestral root?
One possibility, yes. You see how we look at ourselves, and obviously I'm not talking about the person, but in general, how I look within and how I relate to what I'm carrying in me makes all the difference in terms of identifying a context. You know, if my measure is how comfortable I've been, and all the things that have gone well for me on the outside, and therefore I believe there's no reason for me to feel a certain way, that's one way of looking at it. But if internally I have managed a lot of my feelings and emotions in order to, because it's an interference or it's a nuisance or I don't know how to talk about it, so I managed my fears, I managed other difficult emotions and attempted to move on without paying attention to what I seem to be holding, that could also lead to chronic mental health issues. So what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to put everything under the umbrella of ancestral healing. That's definitely a possibility. And it could also be personal, like I said.
Right.
It's a combination.
So what role does the body play in this work? Do we store ancestral memory physically?
You know, Nawaz, in my understanding of everything exists as an energy, and I keep going back to the energy language, and that's the way I view things. So everything exists as an energy before it becomes matter. So what I call as a physical ailment or an ailment that afflicts the body is also energy that has existed in my system long enough to cross the tipping point where it becomes cellular. So I'm already carrying something at the energy level, and when it reaches that tipping point, it has become cellular. And that's when we identified as an ailment in the body.
That makes a lot of sense. And that's when it's genetically decoded in as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Anuradha, how do the ideas of karma and dharma fit into ancestral healing?
Dharma doesn't necessarily actually come into ancestral healing context. We don't address that, but it's all about karma. I want to begin by first elaborating on what I understand as karma. In our culture, karma is a word that we use very casually, and everything is put down to karma. Whereas in my understanding, karma is a very scientific process. If I may, can I elaborate? Because I really want to use this opportunity to put it out there. All of existence, going back to where I have been, what I have been saying all along, all of existence is actually an interplay of energies of varying frequencies and vibrations. Now, my mind is the live element in this ocean of energy frequencies. My mind is consciousness. That's the place where the thinking happens. Based on how I think, how I view life, what is my position in this world that I live in? Who am I? What kind of world do I live in? These are fundamental questions. My thoughts are woven around these basic fundamental ideas, and these thoughts have their own frequency at which they vibrate. So if I'm the central point, my thoughts determine the kind of frequencies that are emanating from me, and the frequencies that are emanating from me depends on the contents of my mind. That is the way it works. So when I'm consistently looking at life and holding certain ideas about life, I set up an energy field around me depending on what kind of thoughts I have. Now, only that which is in resonance to the energy field that I have set up through my thoughts, beliefs and attitudes, because of the principle of resonance, those only have access to me. And by extension of the same principle, if they are not in resonance, they cannot approach me. Now, this is my understanding of karma. How do I think of myself? What kind of thoughts do I have about the people in my life, about the world that I live in? What is my location in this world? What is my relationship with this world? There's a whole bunch of thoughts that determines what kind of energy field I am setting up, and hence what can approach me. Therefore, what I put out is what will come back. It's not reward and punishment the way it is commonly understood.
You don't plant a lemon seed and hope for mangoes to
Yes.
take fruit, right?
Yes, yes.
So that is the definition. But now, where is the co-play between the two?
Now, one, we spoke about the individual. You expand the scale to include the entire family system. So system में there are different kinds of energies that are available that belong to that system. Now मेरा जो भी energy frequency है, मेरे सोचने का तरीका, मेरे जीने का तरीका, उसके हिसाब से जो भी है system में जो मेरे साथ resonate करता है वो मुझ तक पहुंच जाता है. तो I am not victimized कि मेरे ancestors ने पता नहीं क्या किया और अब मैं झेल रही हूँ, ऐसा नहीं है. मैं उसके साथ रेजोनेट कर रही हूँ क्योंकि मेरा थॉट्स उसी टाइप का है. माई माइंड इज ऑफ द सेम. हेंस आई पिक अप फ्रॉम द सिस्टम एनीथिंग दैट इज इन रेजोनेंस. सो एंसेस्ट्रल ट्रॉमा मुझ तक क्यों पहुँचता है? बिकॉज आई एम ऑलरेडी इन रेजोनेंस विद इट. एंड चाहे एंसेस्ट्रल हो या पर्सनल हो, प्रोसेस तो एक ही है, प्रिंसिपल एक ही है. रेजोनेंस, डिसोनेंस.
Does ancestral healing help people find a deeper sense of belonging?
Actually, you're very right, because our sense of being lost, directionless, that is so common now, and like you were saying, why are people seeking so much, is because we have lost that continuity of our existence through our ancestors. So you were really the experience is like you just let loose with no anchor. So the moment you realize that there are all those human beings who have lived before you, and who you are today is the outcome of all those people who have lived and chosen to have children, and on and on and on, and therefore you exist. It's a huge relief and a sense of belonging and a grounding which is irreplaceable.
Your soul family, right?
Yeah, your whole family, your soul family, and every one of them standing up in support of you should you ask. So I have this practice of teaching people, taking people through a prayer at the end of my workshops, the ancestral prayer, which is simply acknowledging that they existed and I exist because of them, and asking for their blessings. So yes, even for those who don't feel anchored and a sense of belonging, connecting to the ancestors is the surest and shortest way to restore that.
Could you share a couple of incidents which stand out in mind as to what people might have come to you to solve, what showed up in the healing, and what relevance that held?
You see, when people come in for a session, they only know what part of their life is not working well.
जहाँ दिक्कत है.
हाँ, जहाँ दिक्कत है. तो वो जब मेरे पास आते हैं और वो सुनाते हैं, they are only talking about, you know, I'm having issues.
ये problem है,
ये problem है, वो problem है, health है, finance, career, profession, जो भी है. Now I need to decode this because that's my process. I understand it as हाँ, तो इनको there's not enough prana, enough life force energy flowing into them, because when you have a strong intention, you have a strong aspiration to be somewhere, there's no reason that you cannot be there, except when there's not enough energy to take you there. That's my understanding. So in my mind, I'm decoding whatever their problem is to where possibly could the energy be stuck. Hence, the initial conversation involves me taking an interview or a history taking of their family. कि क्या हुआ था, कब हुआ था, कैसे हुआ था, and so on and on. And I get a sense of what are the possible areas where the flow of prana is stuck, because of which this person is having issues. The nature of the issue could be incidental at times. It's just the prana is not flowing and they are stuck there. Sometimes it could be directly related to a previous issue where it's about a pattern. उनके साथ भी हुआ था, उसके बाद भी हुआ था, अब मेरे साथ हो रहा है. So depending, the interview will determine whether I say, for example, that let's just work on restoring prana and leave it open for it to show up. And if I know a specific pattern that is playing out, then we address the pattern itself. I'll tell you an interesting story now that's coming to my mind. I was working with somebody in Jaipur, and it was a very interesting situation in their family, that she was one girl with 5 brothers, and the story, her presenting problem was that I'm the only earning member. There has never been more than one brother who was employed with me. So it's me plus any one of them. If a second one got the job, the first one lost it. So the entire burden, I'm the only one who's consistently earning, and most of the burden is on me. I inquired, tell me a little bit about your family and so on. And then based on what she said, we set up the constellation. And interestingly, it went back 5 generations to a grandmother who lost grandfather after she had some 5 children. So he died young, and he was the oldest member of his family. So this lady has raised her own children and raised all his younger siblings. So she ended up carrying the burden of her own children and her brothers and sisters-in-law.
So how is that fair?
It's fair is a different matter. But when that person came into the constellation, she couldn't stop cursing Nawaz. And she said, you're useless, the men in the family are useless, you're good for nothing. And she was left and right cursing, which actually made me go and ask what happened there, because I didn't know that piece of story. And then she told me this is what happened. So the men in the family are useless was the phrase that was actually coming out of her mouth without having any background. Men in the family are useless.
Correct. Full
Men
direct
in this family,
link.
direct link, it's a curse.
Absolutely.
It just came through, and the men were not able to do much.
Right.
So in these kind of cases, the link is very apparent, it's direct. Sometimes the presenting problem is not so specific, and at those times we just focus on exploring where the flow of prana has been blocked and we restore it.
ऐसी कोई छोटी मोटी रिवाज हैं by which we can help honor or heal our lineage on a daily basis, something we can do?
There are a lot of rituals in every culture, in every part of the world, religion and otherwise, that already has prescribed rituals. So if we study and understand the meaning behind these rituals, then we obviously can apply ourselves to those rituals, more sincerely and really engage with it. But at my own level, I guide participants through a small ancestral prayer at the end of every program. And I have offered this prayer as a way of healing even for those who may not have gone through a session. Because Nawaz, the most underused resource for human beings on the planet today is not knowing the wealth that is waiting to reach us from our ancestors. I have no hesitation in saying it is the most underused resource. Very easily we reach out to our social circle, we reach out to our network, we reach out to, मैं इसको जानती हूँ, उसको जानती हूँ, let me try this, let me ask that, let me speak to this person. We are only, moving in our circles, known circles, saying, these are my resources. But without having to do any of that, I am very confidently offering to the viewers of this program, connect to your ancestors. You don't need to have a formal prayer. You don't need to have the exact words to say. Connect, acknowledge them as your true resource. And energy flows. So whatever you ask for, it will start to travel towards you from this wealth of resource.
So Anuradha, can you tell us a little bit about the actual process? If somebody is wanting to do a workshop with you, maybe just observe to begin with, or maybe participate because they have an issue and they want certain help and healing, what would they do? How would the time go? What's the structure?
The process is interesting. It's also at some level mystical, because beyond a point, our logic and rationale will fall short. So I'm putting it out there right at the beginning that we need to come into the process with an open mind, a prerequisite, if I may say, to be able to benefit from the process. The process itself, so in a workshop, typically a group of about 20 to 22 people come together. The number is not really important. We can have more, but we can't have less than, say, about 16 to 18 people. We need a group that size. And let's say you approach me for a session, you've shared with me. So we have an interview that is confidential, private. The rest of the group is not a part of that process.
So I have shared with you in that process what is bothering me, what's on my mind.
Yes.
You may ask me a lot of questions about my present, my past, my family, things of that sort.
I would essentially ask for your family history.
Right.
What is the challenge you're dealing with right now for which you want to use this process to heal? And then a bit of your family history. What could be those events or incidents that have occurred, as far as you know, that probably have not been healed, traumatic events. So some of those events could be something like an early death of a parent or a grandparent, anybody in the family who you know has died prematurely. It could be unnatural deaths that have happened. From there onwards, it becomes really interesting, and like I said, borders on mysticism, because I don't know, I don't have the vocabulary to describe how this happens. The best way I can say it is, it appears as though we have invited the energy field of that family into that healing space. That's the way I look at it. Through our joint combined intention, we invite the energy field of that family to come into that space, and all the ancestors who are represented start to report information about what they are feeling in that moment, emotions they're feeling, physical sensations they're feeling. They're able to report it knowing nothing about who they are standing for and what the story is. So only the person who has told me the story and myself, we can correlate and say, yes, I know what happened there.
Only the two of you know the story,
only the two
rest
of us.
are completely unaware. Right.
And at no point do I share it.
Right.
So that's how
That's the trust, that's the confidentiality.
And that's the objective.
These are highly sensitive situations, so naturally.
Yes, it's...
otherwise you'll have to heal them from the damage that you've done by the exposure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So not only is it sensitive, it's also very objective.
Right.
You're not colored by the story that you already know and then you imagine one emotion or the other emotion. So you're standing there knowing nothing.
Right. So now they will represent different ancestors. Then what will happen? They'll tell you about what they're feeling or going through.
And then thereafter is my process, which is difficult to explain.
Okay. Right.
Where I then get a sense of how to heal wherever we have identified as the original trauma, so to speak. And then we get into the process of healing it and restoring healthy energy from the ancestors prior to them, then through them, and all the way down to whoever is here for the healing.
Anuradha, what practical steps can families take today in order to stop repeating old stories and patterns?
A very common phenomena, I think, in many families, we lose a parent. We lose either the father or the mother before their time. It happens in many families, because of which one of the children take on the role of the parent. It's seen as very organic, very normal, and almost as a responsibility that when my dad is not there, then the oldest son takes on the mantle of earning for the family, and if the mother is not there, then the daughter, etc. It's okay to do that, to step in and step up. But at no point should we lose acknowledgement of what is actually my role in that family. I am still a child to my parents. I may be helping out my father, I may be helping out my mother, but I'm not a replacement for my father or mother. That awareness makes a huge amount of difference, because very often we lose that. Somewhere along the way we forget that we should be receiving from the surviving parent, and we see ourselves only as the partner to our surviving parent. The second point is whenever there is a victim-perpetrator situation in the family, which is again not so uncommon. Somewhere in our ancestors, somebody from the family has been a victim, or somebody from the family has been a perpetrator. Very often we take sides. I'm either if my family member is a victim, I am supporting the victim against some external perpetrator. There are a lot of cases that come up when I'm working with people where the family member has been a perpetrator. There was a victim who belongs outside the family, but somewhere this feeling is there that, okay, my family has not done right by these people. Some unconscious, whatever that ancestor has held. I remember one person in Lebanon, I was doing this a workshop in Beirut. This person comes from a very successful banking family. They have banks in their own name, private banks, etc. And everybody in his family is doing extremely well. But when this man came to me for a session, he said, I just cannot hold on to money. As much as my family invests in me and my ideas and projects, I just lose all the money. Again, 4 or 5 generations back, the family had migrated from Lebanon to South America, and they bought up a whole lot of land and were into plantations, some form of plantations. They made loads of money there, loads and loads of money there. That's where they made their wealth. And at some point when they decided it was no longer viable, they just sold their land and came back, and there was no rehabilitation or no attempt to take care of the workers who were with them for several generations. So a whole bunch of people...
No voluntary retirement scheme.
Nothing. The whole bunch of people were effectively abandoned, and these people just picked up the wealth and came back. Now that man is carrying the energy of these victims.
Right.
He cannot hold on to wealth. He is just losing it. So you see, that's why it's a very delicate business. However right or wrong it might seem, the wise thing to do is to keep a distance and say, I have no clue what's happening between the two of you, but I care about you. Do you need help? I'm here to help you. But I'm not going to sit on judgment about who got it right and who got it wrong. You know, it's difficult. Like I said, it's difficult probably to practice, but it is important. And it's because it's so difficult that these complications and entanglements continue in all families.
Right. Anuradha, if someone doesn't believe in energy, in ancestors or in spirituality, तो क्या होता है? Can they still heal?
See, don't believe in ancestors, what do you mean? Are you assuming that you've just landed out of nowhere?
Well, maybe my ancestors have moved on, they're not here anymore, they've taken a rebirth, I don't believe.
Yeah. So, my thoughts create my reality, Nawaz. That is the ultimate truth. It's an absolute truth. So, अगर आपका सोचना ऐसा है, तो हो सकता है कि आप healing पहुंचेगा नहीं. Because you have clearly blocked the possibility of healing through that almost confirmed idea that you have about reality.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And finally, Anuradha, what happens when एक इंसान हो family में, he chooses to heal? Does it have a ripple effect on the rest of the family members?
Absolutely. There's every possibility. We cannot gauge to what extent. To the extent they are entangled in that particular issue, that portion of their energies will be healed. You know, one story, an interesting story comes to my mind of a family from Bahrain. They were about, I think, 9 brothers and sisters, and all 9 of them have showed up at some point or the other for this healing. And the common problem that each of them brought was they've been heavily traumatized by the difficult marriage that their parents had, and they described their father having a certain personality, mother having a certain personality, and they've gone through hell in their own.
Yet all 9 children were produced.
Yes, oh, there were more from somebody else, but anyway, 9 children of this mother, let's put it like that. And every one of them came with the same issue. And they said, my father is so and so, and it's difficult to live with him, and we've been traumatized, and etc., etc. And we've done healing for all 9. And the next thing I know, the mother and father have gone on a second honeymoon at that age.
Wow.
Because 9 of them all addressing their problems through their parents. So in every session, mother was healed, father was healed, mother was healed, father was healed.
Superb.
And now the parents are fine because they have received so much of healing through their children.
Marriage counselor as well. And Ghostbuster, I'm hoping.
So, yeah, that's one interesting story, but absolutely yes. So when someone comes for healing, it's very possible that connected people from their family also receive healing. Yes.
Superb. Anuradha, thank you. That's been amazing. That's been incredible. We just completed part 2 with Anuradha on ancestral healing.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you.